Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer. He's on the East Coast, and we are looking at NBA best bets for our one playoff game today on Wednesday, looking at this Pacers and Knicks game. Knicks obviously up 1-0. We also have player props up in a separate video, so you do want to like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along for the rest of this postseason as we bring you these videos each and every day now. Also want you to head to thelines.com and check out everything we're putting up on the site right now. That's very helpful, I would imagine, as you bet on these NBA series in the postseason moving forward. Nate, let's go ahead and jump right into your first best bet here, talking about them Pacers covering, I believe.
Yeah, it didn't require a whole lot of thought for me to say, let me take the points here with the Pacers. And I think you also put a half unit on the money line. You have to, and it's dropped down to plus 4.5 in some places. If you're going to go that low, you might as well bank on a potential Pacers win here. But I'm not saying you can't thread the needle. Like, look, I just said to you, I don't think the Knicks are going to win a game by double digits the entire rest of these playoffs. Like, they physically cannot. They're playing 48 minutes. Mitchell Robinson is gone. There's no way this team can lay the smack down and actually run past a younger, fitter team and just blow them out of the water. I mean, other than a huge outlier shooting night, but the Pacers didn't even really shoot well from three in game one, and they still just controlled the game. Superior depth. Guys like TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, literally running past these dudes who are so tired. Like, at the end of the first half, you could see it. Like, Josh Hart's throwing up his hands because he's has apparently the fitness of Arjen Robben and never gets tired. But the rest of the Knicks were just getting blown by. Like, the game was slipping out of hand. I think maybe if Hartenstein doesn't hit that half court floater, they're going to lose. Like, they would be down at 9 at half. And Pacers, obviously, I think you got a lead here with the Pacers getting robbed by the refs on two different really bad calls, the phantom kickball, and then an illegal screen that was definitely not enough to make UConn feel like they could commiserate there. And there's no trends here for teams getting robbed by the refs in game one and how they do in game two, except sort of in that Phillies Knicks series. After getting robbed in game two, Philly wins the only non-close game of that series. And then they got a little karma later in the series. But the trend I do have is Pacers are the number one team in the NBA ATS after a loss this season, covering by 5 points. Knicks happen to be number two, but they are coming off a win. Pacers 26-12 straight up after a loss. The Knicks as home favorites 27-7 straight up, but 500 against the spread, which to me indicates they're just not going to blow teams out. Once again, they also had a poor record for the second straight season against teams above 500. That's all regular season stuff. But the key here is what I'm talking about is just that the minutes workload will not allow these Knicks to not be in a close game down the stretch. And 6 of their 7 playoff games now have been in clutch situation, 5 points within the final 5. 3 of the 7 have been within 3 in the final 2. So if you're going to back the Knicks, I think you just continue to do what we hit at the end of that Sixers series, which is Knicks to win by single digits. There's no reason to take them to cover a -4, a -3 when you know you're going to be in that range anyway, and you're going to be sweating it. It's plus 200, about plus 220 for them to just win by 1-10. This isn't the spot for that for me, because I think the Pacers controlled game one and they played their pace, and Josh Hart needs to chill out and stop running fast breaks because and getting into being baited into that with the Pacers, because they will outrun these Knicks all day. That's not the style they have to play. So I think the Pacers can win this game, but I don't think the Knicks can really cover 5 points.
I hear you. A couple of rebuttals. We had a offensive foul screen call in the last 4 minutes. That was you don't make that.
He just pulled out the Knicks fandom. I will disclaimer for everyone. Everything else he says, the Knicks.
Tell me if I'm doing this right. Hey, we had an offensive screen call against us that you just can't call that. You just can't call that. It's a foul. It's a foul. Get that guy out of here with that in the garden. All right, let me just get into my player prop because everything you said is right. The Knicks are going to be run into the freaking ground. Add OG Anunoby to the list of guys you might see with 48 minutes next to his name tonight. I can't disagree with any of that because this is Tibbs, and it's the later that we get into these playoffs, they ain't gonna have anything left once they see the Celtics. I'll just put it that way, which is why I was like, maybe you just take the Celtics in 5 right now or something like that. If you can find some futures prices for this season, this Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to continue to wax Cleveland, and this Knicks team is hopefully going to keep it under 6 games if they have any shot at having stamina left for the next round. But I can't disagree with any of that. Except for all the parts where you said they got robbed. So let me talk about my first same game parlay with Dante DiVincenzo. Still going back to him. Loved him in the first game. 15 plus points. And then I'm taking OG 6 plus rebounds. And some people want to fade OG because people who were watching tape on that game are probably going to claim, and they are claiming, that OG picked up a lot of balls that were sort of just kind of bumbling on the ground a little bit and didn't really go up and get boards at the rim the way that maybe you want to see somebody do to indicate they're going to keep going that way. But like, I would argue that is rebounding. Like, rebounding is hugely in part, where are you standing on the court? And OG is standing next to the rim because he's guarding the only dude shooting at the rim every time, which is Pascal Siakam. Now you add another like probably 3 to 4 minutes for OG. Like, you can't have OG off the floor if you just have one of Hartenstein and or like Precious in the game. And God forbid we see Jericho Sims. I don't think he has minutes in this series, but I'm just saying, like, they need bigs and at some point. So it's going to be OG if the way that Tibbs clearly felt comfortable putting him on Pascal last game and leaving him for 43 minutes or so. I cannot see that going down. For the rebound chances, it was 15 last game, and it's been 15 the last 3 games because he's been guarding a big man who plays in the post. But when he was guarding Joel as the primary defender, and mostly picking up Joel around the foul line and higher if he could, and then getting help down low, which will probably be the case again, which is also why I'm scared to like fade Miles Turner in any way. He's now going to be the biggest dude on the court whenever he's out there because there will not be any Mitch Rob. And to be honest, he was the biggest dude on the court for all but 11 minutes last game when Mitch Rob was out there. So that's just one consideration. But the stuff for OG is like, yeah, I mean, if he's going to get 15 rebound chances a game moving forward like he's had, because that's where he is on the floor and that's the dude that they're depending to rebound, then yeah, I'm going to keep going with him. It's gotten crazy high. 7.5 for OG is not something you ever thought you'd see. Even on the days when he was in Toronto, it was kind of like, whoa, okay, this is never a rebound prop you'd see for him. But like I said, he's expected to play a lot more big man 4 these days and backup 5 to a degree than he is playing like a small forward position like he was earlier in the year, and especially when he was on the Raptors, which was a different situation. So going to keep going with him because, like I said, 45 at least minutes for OG tonight, maybe 48 alongside Josh Hart. So I'll take his rebounds. And then for DDV, for Dante DiVincenzo, like, my thing about liking him last game was that he's just a way better matchup than Deuce McBride for this series. One, Deuce was a better matchup on Tyrese Maxey because those two dudes can run for 2 hours straight without getting tired, apparently. And there's no one else on the Knicks that could say that, especially because everybody else besides Deuce last series was doing a lot more on offense and in the case of like Hart and OG on the boards, etc. Right. But for Dante, like last series, it was like, well, someone's got to come off the floor if we want Deuce to run up and down the floor with Tyrese Maxey. And so that cost Dante. Plus, he was shooting like crap. Plus, it's much harder to get to the rim against Philly than it is against Indy. And that's what he does so notably better than his backup or his replacement, which in this case would be Deuce, or really anybody else you would bring in for Dante, is like going to the rim and driving. He's much better at that than those other dudes. And the first half really, like, people were freaking out about the fact that I did pick that last game. And some people hit me up and were like, yo, what's up with DiVincenzo? He's got like 4 points at halftime. Yeah, but he's taken 7 shots. And he's taken 5 of those inside the paint, 4 of them inside of 5 feet. So he was driving, and like he missed a couple layups that rolled out. They did like a toilet bowl and came out on him. So I was sitting there like, I'm fine with this. He's like got the confidence this series already. He watches 1-3 go in, and boom, what happens in the second half is that the Pacers did switch up their D a little bit. They blitzed Brunson a little bit more. So after going 2 for 7 in the first half for Dante, he actually had 7 threes in the second half that he put up, hitting 5 of them, because now he actually had the ability to get to his spot up spots and have Jalen Brunson find him, because they were finally putting another dude to like sort of man coverage, what's a QB spy essentially on Jalen Brunson. They had a spy essentially that was waiting, and that was the dude that ended up sagging off of either Dante's guy, or Dante was the third pass or second pass, right, in that swing of the ball around the rim, around the perimeter. And obviously he ended with a ton of points. But like I said, what you like to see is that he took 5 shots inside the painted area, as Hubie Brown would say. And so that's really what I'm banking on happening, continuing moving forward, is like the only dude who really gave him trouble to like get to the rim was Nesmith. When Nesmith was on him, and not guarding Josh Hart or Jalen Brunson, it was a bit of a problem. But that was for like a minute and a half worth of offense in the game. Everybody else, Nembhard, even TJ McConnell when he was on there for a minute, all these dudes just got absolutely barbecued going to the rim by Dante. So I'm going to keep banking on him having the ability to score in multiple ways. And I think the threes will still open up for him as the game progresses and they see Jalen Brunson getting everything he wants from the foul line. They're going to start putting more pressure on him, which will leave Dante a little bit more open.
Yeah, I mean, the other reason that the Pacers lost that game is because Rick Carlisle thought that Andrew Nembhard could handle Jalen one-on-one in crunch time, which was just like the easiest money for Jalen to scoop up on his way to another 40-point game. And the one time they do send half help, or like Neesmith, who that phantom kick ball, but then he fucks up and he gives half help, right, which gives DiVincenzo the huge three to win it. I think we'll see more mixed coverages is my point. Yeah, to give DV more opportunities to fire away. I mean, his threes are not that high yet. 3.5 is the prop for plus money. Threes hit 5 in consecutive, broke out of that little slump there. So I'm on board with that. And I like OG rebounds. I'm going to fade his points in player props because I still don't think he's out there to play much offense except get in where you fit in. But as far as the release valve for Brunson, it's been DiVincenzo like all season, since Julius Randle went down. Like he's got to be the number 2 option, and he's going to continue to do that. My SGP is Pacers focused, though. I got TJ, 10 points, 4 assists, and then I'm going to go Nembhard to go under 1.5 threes, and that gets you to plus 250. I've got a safer one if you're not a negative guy and you don't want to fade Nembhard or you don't want to trust the TJ assist necessarily, is over his core prop of 14.5 points in assists. And then Halliburton to get 8 assists because, I mean, the take is simply that Halliburton is looking to pass way, way more than he's looking to score. Yeah. And even in that bounce back spot in the Milwaukee series, he scored a little bit more after taking just 7 shots in game 1. But it was the assists that came home. And Pacers are going to push the pace at all opportunities, and it's Halliburton who's going to be the trigger man there. So, but the same thing applies to TJ, who as soon as Hallie gets a rest, or as soon as Carlisle understands that these Knicks guys are getting tired because they never come out of the game, here comes Mr. Energy off the bench. TJ hounding them 90 feet, pushing the pace, just literally blowing past them because they don't have the energy to keep him in front. He's sneaky quick, if I will use the NFL draft combine analogy, aka he's white. And he's a white American who suddenly can blow by you and finish at the rim. And his confidence has been building in these playoffs. Last 4, now 13 a game, 6 assists on 9.3 potential assists. He has the highest assist to pass ratio on the team. He's averaging the 3rd most passes in just 20 minutes per game. He's averaging the 6th most secondary assists in the playoffs of all teams in just 18 minutes per game. So when he's out there, he is the engine of this offense, this incredibly fast-paced, efficient offense, getting shit done. And I think he might play a little bit more at the expense of Nembhard, who he creates more points off assists than, despite playing the fewer minutes. I mean, Nembhard already dipped to 29 minutes because, he is not a Brunson stopper. That was not a great idea. I mean, McConnell's ball pressure is excellent. So at least using him in the middle of the game to kind of tire out Brunson so he can't take over in the 4th is a good call here. And Nembhard's not a volume 3-point shooter. Like 3 for 9 in his 4 playoff roadies to start here. He has not attempted more than 3 in any of them. He has not hit more than 1 in any of them. That's why it's minus 200 for him to go under this prop. But I mean, his usage rate is 17%. It's been 13% since the Siakam trade. Like he's out there mostly for defense. He'll take an open 3 if it comes to him. But I don't think a volume 3-point shooter is someone you can expect to get 2 threes down against a Knicks defense that, tired though they might be, is pretty disciplined guarding the 3-point line.
Yeah, I like the points for McConnell a lot more than I like to try to gauge the assists. I just think he continues to be a dude that blows by the guy guarding him. I have a couple quick numbers for you. If you look at Nembhard versus Jalen Brunson went 9 for 12, scored 24 points when Nembhard was guarding him, just to put some numbers to what you're saying. When TJ McConnell was guarding him, 1 for 7 and 2 points. Missed his 1-3, didn't get to the free throw line. I have not seen anybody guard Jalen Brunson that well this season, and I probably watched like 70 New York Knicks games this year. So that's a lot of players that could not do what TJ McConnell did. The only thing that gives me pause in general, and I'm with you on TJ McConnell 100%. It's 10.5 points for his core, and I like that a lot more. I don't want to have to necessarily predict the assist for him, although it's not a bad look for how much he's passing and how much he has the ball in his hands. And also, by the way, played like 6 minutes with Tyrese Halliburton last game, because at least that was like somewhat of Carlisle's admission that he understood that TJ was a better defender for Nembhard. But the only thing is, like, is he going to keep, like, the only reason I would not automatically project him to get more minutes is all I'm trying to say for TJ, is because it was that spot. It was like you said, he comes in, he tires Brunson out as much as he can. Maybe he should have just stayed on the court, but maybe Carlisle's like, well, this is when you're most useful, and it sort of declines, and your usefulness declines as you're out there for longer periods of stretches because of that inability to then maintain that high pace of tiring out Brunson. That would be my only guess, but I need to see what happens there before I can really like make a judgment call on that in game 2 here. Yeah, so in short, I love the TJ McConnell points more than anything. I do like taking under on Nembhard as well, and any kind of play that's going to have Halliburton not necessarily scoring points, to be honest, but getting some dimes is a lot more likely. I mean, I just was surprised at how often he didn't even look at the rim in that last game. So I'm going to go with a 4-game DK alt under parlay. So I took 4 legs here that I took a little bit higher and went under on these props. So it's Brunson under 6.5 boards, Halliburton under 5.5 boards, Brunson under 10.5 assists, and Isaiah Hartenstein under 13.5 points. All 4 of those together, it's a lot of work, but it gets you plus 158, and it gives me some comfort as I make these plays. So the lines are a little bit sharp in some places, but here's where I'm at. Like Brunson, the rebounds, starting with that, under 6.5. He had 6 last game. He had 9 rebound chances. There was a lot of luck in there. There was a lot of the ball flying right to him as I went back and even watched a couple of those and was like, yeah, I mean, what are the odds moving forward that he gets that particular board? So I like him to keep going under. If you look at him on the season, 3.7 boards per game, and that's in 36 minutes. I mean, add like 7 to 8 minutes for this game, like max 44. Maybe you put his floor at like 40 minutes for Brunson, probably close to 42 is his floor. So he'll keep playing that amount of minutes, but it's even when he plays that amount of minutes. I mean, in the playoffs, he's at 8.5 rebound chances in 43 minutes per game, pulling down about 4.7 of them. So I don't think he's getting to 7 boards here, something he has not done very consistently. He went over this number in his first 2 games of the playoffs against Philly. And then, since then has gone pretty cleanly under in the last 5, including just at about 7.5 rebound chances, which is what his average on the season is. So he kind of just came back down to earth playing in the last 5 games, as opposed to the first 2 where he got even luckier than he did in game 1 of this series with those rebounds. If you look at Hallie rebounds, not something he does against his team. I mean, that dude ran 3-point line to 3-point line in game 1 in a way that kind of seems indicative of what he's going to keep doing. I still don't know that we can guarantee that he's like full strength Tyrese Halliburton. There's just such a change in him between the first half of the season and since he got hurt, in like late January, February. So I'm going to keep going under for him. 2.7 rebounds per game against New York in the 4 games this season versus them. 5.3 rebound chances. Now in the regular season as a whole, 6.6 rebound chances for 4 rebounds. And if you add a few more minutes in the playoffs, he's averaging about 35 minutes in the playoffs as opposed to the 32 that he played in the regular season, still at about 6.9 rebound chances and 5 boards per game. So for Hallie, I still feel comfortable going under 6 for him, especially in this series, something he has just not done. And then Brunson assists, you kind of already know where I'm at with that. And it got a little bit lower. I still, if you're just going to put a little bit on the under 7.5 assists and take that for plus money, don't hate it. You can still get under 8.5 like you had last game. It's just I got it at plus 114 last game. I hate paying minus 160 this game for him to go under 8.5. I just don't like paying today's price. But I like adding it to a same game parlay and putting it up to 10.5 and just feeling really comfortable about that. That hit last game thanks to the Knicks winning when I parlayed the Brunson under 10.5 assists, 25 plus points, etc. You can throw 25 plus in there. It's like it's not going to give you much juice or help on the parlay. Plus, this is an alt under parlay, so we can't really mix that up. But then Hartenstein, I can understand this being a scary under for Hartenstein because Mitch Rob is no longer playing in these playoffs. I still don't care. I mean, he had we got the over 10.5 last game because he hit a 3-point buzzer beater at the half from 60 feet away. So I'm not going to bank on him doing that again. And I am going to say, like, I don't see 36 minutes is still around what you're going to see for Hartenstein. Maybe he picks up a couple more, but really you're just going to get Precious in the Mitch Rob minutes, which he probably should have been anyway, because Mitch Rob was in there to do stuff down low, and then Isaiah Jackson made him like just sunned him in a way that was weird to watch. And so even there, like Precious might be a better matchup for the backup bigs coming in for the Pacers moving forward. So I don't think his minutes really go up too much, which means Mitch Rob not being out there doesn't really impact Hartenstein when he's actually on the floor too much. I don't see him taking more than the 8 to 9 shots he's been taking. So if you want him to make 7 of those shots, considering he's really never getting to the free throw line, then by all means. But I'm still very happy with him going under 13.5 points, something he's only done once this playoffs. And I just don't think it's going to be there for him. So you don't have to reply to all 4 of my legs if you don't want to, but feel free to jump in.
Bro, we might have gone too far here. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe, the logic is sound for all of them, but it's like, what could possibly go wrong? Well, one of these is probably going to be an outlier, like despite all the logic. Let me just ask you, like, gun to your head, what is your game pick for this spread, total, money line? Like, what is a game pick you got?
Knicks money line.
Okay.
Yeah, I still like the Knicks to win.
Do you like them to win by 1 to 10 points for like 2 to 1 on your money? Because what are the odds they win by 11 points?
Probably pretty slim.
Yeah. Okay. Well then, folks, if you don't want to do all that calculus, Knicks 1 to 10 on the money line plus 220-ish is a fine game pick to distill all this. But I appreciate all the research you did to dig in on all those alt unders.
Yeah, I mean, I feel comfortable with all of them. I think the only one that scares me a little bit is Halliburton rebounds because of just the sort of luck factor. But like I said, if you look at where that man's standing on the court, there's really nothing there. So yeah, it's 4 alt unders. It's only available on DraftKings, so at least shout them out for having like the alt under as opposed to just you have to take alt overs if you want any kind of like alt numbers on your player props. But that is all the time we have for you in Best Bets. Continue to follow along. We've also got a player prop specific video up that we're going to be bringing you guys alongside this each and every day now moving forward. So until we see you next, happy betting.